up your patience. You should be able to see the title, though. It should be intriguing, if nothing else. So allow me to pull this screen up, and we'll get started. So apparently there's a video making the rounds. I only saw it shared on one video, but when I did a search, I saw that it's been searched up quite a bit. But as usual, we're going to look at this in a different way than all of the other media influencers are, because that's not what I am and that's not what I do here. I mean, I would hope to influence you to be your authentic and true self and honest but as far as influencers go, we look at these stories a little bit differently. And I immediately started digging into this after I saw it was being searched and I saw somebody share it with me. And like I said, I don't watch a lot of other people's content because I need to keep my own path of research and quest for knowledge genuine, like to myself. That's neither here nor there. I'm just letting you know. And so I want to look at these. I noticed some things right off the bat that are like little breadcrumbs in these articles. And looking back at these instances, when you add them all together, I mean, all of the gaslighting about coincidences and, oh, these people are just having mental breaks. When you add all of these things up, it is impossible that people all over the world are having the same mental break and the same delusions. It's just impossible. That's not how it works. Hey there. Usually I only have it so that subs can comment, but I opened it up a little bit today. Forgive me if I don't interact a lot, though, because I want to stay on path here. That's Sammy. Sammy, my lab bully, is snoring next to me. I apologize. But again, we're going to look at this a little differently. I didn't look at anything other than the news clip, and I started researching on my own, and I found some nuggets that looking at other people's, and especially the younger generations, media literacy, but not just that, the intentional misinformation and improper framework that this story is being given, I think I can add a fresh perspective to it. And that's always the goal, is to get outside of your own paradigm and look at things with a fresh set of eyes with other people to see a bigger scope of what's happening. Because the truth is always going to be the truth, but our perspectives differ depending on where we're standing at in this spectrum of light. Just like a diamond or a gemstone has many angles of light, so does the truth. We stand around it, and hopefully it's within us and we are within it. But anyways, we're going to look at a story that has so much to do with my whole purpose and my channel. And I'm going to tell you at the end one of these theories that I have. And it might be weird to you, but it has to do with number stations, and it has to do with, I don't think this place is a simulation so much as I think it is built like a computer, if that makes sense. Because we get a lot of our language in our daily lives, and a lot of people don't even know this, but this is why people are angry about it being torn apart. We get a lot of our information from like ancient texts, like the Bible, like Sumerian texts, like the Tablets of Thoth, like the Book of the Dead. That's where we get our societal framework, right? And I think it's important to understand that a lot of us are talking about the same things, but maybe using different words. So we're going to jump into this story with a fresh set of eyes and a fresh set of ears. And I wasn't going to do a video today. It's a Sunday. I usually don't do this. But again, I think it's so relevant to what we're getting into today. So briefly, we're going to look at who this person is. I will tell you briefly about, oh no, please tell you briefly who he is. And I do have the video playing, so I'm watching my own channel from my other channel as well. Sammy, you have such bad manners. Okay. So there was this guy, Gary Stollman, and I guess what I'm going to do is we're just going to do him alone because David Horowitz is the newscaster, right? Now, we know that a lot of times today, things are acting. We've seen instances where the media is all saying the same thing and speaking from a script. It wasn't always and forever like that, though, and even if there's a reason these stories are being put out, and like I said, I noticed a few breadcrumbs that I don't think any other influencer, and again, I'm not an influencer, I don't think any other TikToker or content cover creator is going to cover. So I'm going to look at this real quick. On August 19th, 1987, during the 4 o'clock edition of KMBC's Channel 4 News, a pew-pew wielding man named Gary Stollman got into NBC's Burbank studios as a guest of an employee and took the man hostage live on the air with, threatening him that he was going to end this man. Okay, I'm going to give you a brief rundown real quick because I will include a link of the short video clip. I'm not going to show it because I don't want the video to get taken down, even though we know fair use and all that exists. We know how they treat smaller creators like us. So I will link that in the comments and or the description, the actual video. But what they did is he wanted to be on the air saying these things. And a lot of people don't realize TV isn't live. They expect it to be live, but it's not because things happen. And television, and even most of you should know Facebook Live isn't even live. Kanika Jenkins, her story showed us that. And that is kind of where my journey began, was looking at the media and saying, wait a second, I'm seeing all these stories and they're leaving like these same clues and details and facts behind them. So his dad worked for the news station as a contributor. He was a pharmacist. Now, follow me because there's a lot here. And I think he was around bad people, right? He might have been the one mulligan of his whole family, the black sheep, like you and me, like targeted individuals. Just follow it because this story is going to start to sound very, very familiar because they use the same scripts everywhere and it is so old. Like, I just want to have a genuine conversation with people again. Like, can we just get off script and have a genuine heart to heart, or just even, hey, what's your favorite ice cream? And you don't have to think about it for 11 minutes and decide on what your hive mind tells you your favorite ice cream is, or whatever. So he wanted to get this information out about the CIA and about aliens and about the Pentagon. Follow me. He was training to be a programmer, a coder. That is very important. Why is that important, guys? Well, if you go back to my uploaded videos and some of the earlier streams on this channel, we talk a lot about program coders. I think they know what this place is. And I think some of them have learned how to hack certain things. And I've mentioned this before, and I've mentioned it in the Labyrinth videos, the Maze videos, the Tower videos, where the Welsh fairy tale says that the devil traps human souls in towers, and how we have the Tower of Babel, and how very few people have said, well, maybe that means computer tower. Like, how else could you fit a bunch of it, just like the Library of Alexandria? Well, how could there be that many books? Well, first of all, the Earth's a lot bigger than we know it is. And then second of all, you could fit a whole library into a computer. So you wouldn't need an actual library. You would have a computer library, a digital library, right? Like, we know these things now. So I'm going to share another page. Now that you have the background, Samson, Sam, scooch over. Oh my gosh. I know this isn't a professional gig here, buddy, but this is definitely a labor of love. Sam. All right, here we go. So this is his own words. I started digging and I found some things that I don't think other people found. And I have some information that I don't think other people have because I'm a pop culture junkie. I'm a TV junkie. Like, my mom, replacement mom, whatever she was, sat me in front of that television and made sure, like, yeah. And a loved one actually told me on one of our first, like, visits with each other, like, just sat out of nowhere during a car ride and said, absorb the radio. And I said, what did you say? I didn't say anything. I'm like, yes, you did. You said absorb the radio. I didn't say nothing. I'm like, yeah, you really did. So a lot of us, like, we're used to, like, dipping our toes into these strange realms. All right. So I started digging and I found this. Now, the first thing I noticed is it's on a guitar website. It says Narchive News Group Archive, which is a little weird right there, the name. And it says Music Maker's Guitar. Why he posted this here, I don't know, but I will tell you this. Lucifer was the leader of the angelic choir. A lot of fallen angels are rappers and they play guitars. This is just a fact. Like you can tell it. It's in their names, it's in the band names. That's what they are. They love being adored. And the hair is probably not really theirs because most of them have issues growing hair. But anyways, let's read this because there's a lot here. So the first thing to notice that's strange about this and off is that it's on a guitar website. Now this was posted 21 years ago, but it was still a long time after what he did on national television. It's very possible, if we buy into his story, it's very possible that it's posted to a guitar site to reach those kinds to say, we've replaced him, like it's been done now. It's possible. I'm not saying that's why. I'm just defragmenting the information and the signs and symbols that are in front of me. And by all means, tell me what you guys think because I'm no end all be all authority on any of these things. Let's see what you're saying. Really need new writers. They really need no writers. I can't hear the dog. Oh, cool. I was given a TV as a toddler for my bedroom. I currently have no TV. Yeah, everyone I've ever have had, I think I've been given. The one I have now is pretty small, but I have my phone on all the time, so it's just as bad. Like I know that, but I have hobbies and I do things and I try to stay active. So there's that, right? We all have our saving graces and our vices. Okay, so this is in his own words, but yeah, the first thing I noticed was that it's on a guitar site, which is suspect. There's a few other clues here, and I promise I have a better resource than this, but there are a few things in here that aren't on the other site that I saved. So, my name is Gary Stollman, and I'm the person who, in August of '87, crashed the live set of KNBC TV in downtown Burbank, California, and forced. And now here's the thing: these studios, they're like studio cities. That's not a joke. So you can't really crash a set, although I mean, if you know somebody and you walk in with a group of people, like I'm sure it happened, especially back then. Anyway, enforced consumer advocate David Horowitz to read a prepared statement about how the CIA, and I've wondered for a long time what else CIA could stand for. I don't believe something just because it says the CIA on it and it's online. A lot of people are pushing like, oh, the CIA released it, it must be true. Nah, I don't go with that. And I did see a funny comment the other day that said CIA is for Canine International or Canine Intelligence Agency, and that the F is for Feline Bureau of Investigation. I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, I'll carry on. About how the CIA and alien beings have replaced my family and friends with clones and were attempting to take over the human race. Full stop. When was the first case of capybara syndrome? Because we've talked about this. And demon face syndrome. They come out with these alleged diseases, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not saying either way. My disclaimers are in the description box. But I'm just saying, it's suspect that these same people, these same experts, suddenly make up these conditions. But it's impossible for people, if it's truly their own personal issue, a mental issue, you can't have, when people all over a country have the same delusion, that's not delusion, that's truth. Like, that's factual. And that's how I know these beings aren't very smart. Everyone gives them all this credit and says, oh, they're so much smarter than us. They've been around such a long time. They're making a lot of mistakes. And people have just gotten lazy and they're not paying attention. And most people simply don't care to know. They can't function day to day knowing the truth. They can't. It'll drive them crazy. True about the phones. I got an e-bike and get lost in riding around. I love it. That's cool. Catholics in Action is one accurate acronym from my experience. CIA. Aw, please don't say that. That makes me feel bad. Um, Again, I don't know what's true. I'm just telling you what I've heard too. Uh, So you can't have that many people having a delusion all across the board. Like, that just doesn't happen. Really can't handle the truth. No, they really literally can't handle it. How many people have you heard of recently? The MMA fighter, right? I shared that video and we talked about it briefly. There's an MMA fighter right now, currently going through issues where his mother, he's saying it's not his mother. And he's taking videos of her. He's like, that's not my 70-year-old mom. This is someone else claiming to be her. And I'm not even kidding, guys, because I've looked up a few things now, a couple of alleged stars, like celebrities, because I told you I don't think movies are movies, not in the way we are told that they are. And so I've looked up a couple of them, like recently, because I was watching Little House. I looked up Michael Landon. My mom just loved him, and I got to know why. And so I looked him up, and he has three wives, right? And they have three names, but the same picture is attributed to two wives. Over and over this has happened. It happened with Jon Snow too, the guy who plays Jon Snow on oh, Game of Thrones. And I told you about how at the beginning of all this I was given that Game of Thrones clue in Walmart. They are foreshadowing the movies. I'm not sure if they're foreshadowing so much as, well, that's a whole nother like woo-woo topic. That could be either logically explained, like we're being warned, or illogically explained with something else. But I mean that like found footage and certain people being ended isn't fake. Like, I think it's legitimate people going through with like rituals, and because they can't communicate with each other, some of them don't even know they're in the same club. Like, they hide their faces even with each other. I guess that's so they can get along better in daily life and act the part better. I don't know. I just know that it's true. And I think some of these movies back in the day, the serial enders, they used to write the police all the time just to brag. I think that people are doing that now through YouTube videos. I don't think they're all fake like they want you to believe, but you have people like Nextbo and Nightmind covering all these things and framing them for the youth and saying, oh, that's fake, or these people are mentally ill, or blah, 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 blah. And they're reaching millions and millions of the youth. I know because my children are them. So when you talk to them about these, having situational awareness, right, and observing your surroundings and knowing who's around you, they have no idea what you're talking about. They trust everyone openly. And it's a lovely quality, but it's also a dangerous attribute. It could get you harmed, especially if you have no protection of like the Holy Spirit. You have to have that protection. So anyway, people are having the same story. I'm going to read through this and then I'm going to read through the other thing and I'll end the video. But I just want you to think about those things. If it's truly a delusion, you're not going to have people all across the map having the same delusion. That's not how it works. And it's sad that regular people, I'm not an expert in anything. That should show you like how many non-people are out there today. I think we are in the low numbers. Like humankind, if God does not intervene, there will be no flesh left. And if you can't feel it, like, that's not my fault. And if you can't see, it's not my fault you're blind. But don't call me crazy because I can see and because I know my family and neighbors that well. But anyway, there's an MMA fighter right now who's saying his mother is not his mother. And I've seen it happen with other people too. And I think they already reset people. Like, they've put people with handlers. Like, anyone that's human right now is with a handler. And that's just a fact. The wheat and the tares. And that's how they tried to tell us, was through parables, because these ones, they don't understand parables. They don't understand allegory. They don't understand analogy. They don't know what that means. Trust me, I know. I've dealt with enough of them. All right, so I'm going to read through this. My name is Gary Stollman. I'm the person who in August 87 crashed the set of TV in downtown Burbank, California, and I forced consumer advocate David Horowitz to read my prepared statement, about how the CIA and alien beings had replaced my family and friends with clones. And it's a lot of, I don't know why, but it's a lot of lifters. I think they all experiment with like ayahuasca or something, and it opens your third eye, and you can see it then. Like, you can see it for what it is. But I'm not promoting that either, because I've never done that. I've done other things, but I've never done that. Like the Truman Show, Wheaton tears allegories everywhere, rituals too. Every one of us is on the Truman Show. I'm like convinced of it at this point. Everyone that's a real human being. We're probably on billboards in cities that are filled with just those beings. It says I was arrested and taken to LA jail where I was held for 2 weeks until my parents raised bail and I was placed in a locked ward of UCLA NPI, Nero Psychiatric Institute while awaiting trial. I was offered the chance at the Burbank police station of just walking out the front door and placed in the same situation, but my arrogance kept me from doing anything and I blew my chance. Now, again, this is a few years where this had happened, but it's still a long time ago. I have another link that I'm going to show you after this. It's more put together, but I think this one is somebody else. You'll see what I mean. I spent the next 3 year in 3 mental hospitals, each with less restriction on my freedom until my time in court took place, and I pleaded guilty to one misdemeanor count of unlawful imprisonment and was subsequently placed on 3 years probation. It's a lot of threes right there. Do you see it? Again, this one I think is a code, but there is information to be gleaned here, so just follow me. Since that time, I have fought a never-ending battle of wits against the forces of evil that did this to me and my family and friends and others. I am not insane, which, that's always debatable. I'm a computer scientist student at TCC, Tallahassee Community College, here in Tallahassee, Florida, which I have made my home since 1979. I was awarded the AA degree from TCC in 1982, but since 81 I have been embroiled in a fight to the finish with the CIA, enemies from Los Angeles known to each other as the Dudes, and aliens. I know about 10 computer languages fluently or fairly so, having taken classes in all of them over a period of 25 years now. I've lost out in life because of the programs associated with this situation and was denied admissions back into FSU, Florida State University, since I returned from LA after my incarceration. Now, again, I'm not telling you whether to accept, receive, or believe this story, but I'm telling you it's very similar to a lot of targeted individual stories. Nigel Robertson was 33 and flew 3 hours and 30 minutes from Pakistan to Dubai. Right, 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 exactly. But again, when you, I don't think this is by the same person because when I show you the next source, it's written differently, like almost completely. And again, this is why I think it's possible that they did replace him, or I think this one's a signal. That's why it's on a guitar website. Why else would it be on a guitar site? And I know a lot of them play guitars, and a lot of them are pastors and ministers. Like a lot of them are misteaching things on purpose, and because they simply are trying to blend in and they don't understand allegory. So their teaching is very fundamental. They don't know spirit. They don't know what that means. Okay, so it says, I have a vast history of computer knowledge dating back to 77 when I was introduced into the world of ARPANET, the forerunner of the internet, by a guy I met in a computer store in Santa Monica, California. I spent the next 3 years, night and day, at a top secret computer site